Om. 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 Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahe Sathya Devaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahe Satya Devaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahe Satya Devaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om. Offering my humble pranams at the lotus feet of our most merciful Mother Sai, who got us begun on a journey during the COVID lockdown, trying to fill ourselves with his leelas, with his blessings to so many chosen ones, devotees, students. And that series has been continuing every Sunday. And before we introduce the speaker, the purpose of this satsang, why is this that we are having it every week? First, each one of us have got a very unique canvas. The canvas is something which is like those children's coloring sheets where unless you scribble over it, it doesn't reveal what is behind. Like that, each Sunday, when we have a chosen one speaking to us, it basically is like scribbling over that canvas for us to reveal, for us to have that insight into something deeper that Swami wants us to understand, introspect. And in that sense, our gratitude to our Lord for getting his chosen ones. We have yet another alumni today with us, with his grace. And I strongly believe that no one comes to speak without his sankalpa. And the way they come to speak is his own unique way. Our speaker for today has had the good fortune of joining Swami's institution when the Lord walked amidst us. He joined his 11th grade in the Sri Sathya Sai Higher Secondary School. Went on to study his Bachelor of Science. Graduated with a gold medal, including the all-rounder medal. Went on to do his master's and then got an opportunity to teach for a year, culminating in a doctorate in philosophy in mathematics, which he completed very recently. And with Swami's grace, he's set to pursue his postdoctoral studies overseas. And all these are what I will call the general academic introduction. He was among the last few chosen ones to get to sing his name in his presence and to continue to sing in his presence at Puttaparthi. He's part of the Prasanthi Mandir group. And we are blessed to have Brother V S Ananth with us today to talk to us and reveal what is hidden inside that canvas through what he's got to say. Over to you, Brother. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram to all of you. It's a blessing and a privilege to be a part of this wonderful satsang today. Just would like to start with a small song. Har pal, har kshan, bhul kare hum, pag pag thok ठोकर खाए, एक पग आगे दो पग पीछे, साईं तुम तक कैसे आए, करुणा सागर परमा कृपालु साई, करुणा सागर परमा कृपालु साई, भक्त वत्सल तेरो नाम ओ साई, दुख भंजन तेरो नाम ओ साई, तुम संग बांधी प्रेम की डोरी, तुम संग बांधी प्रेम की डोरी, सुमिरन करो तेरो नाम ओ साई, सुमिरन करो तेरो नाम, पतितो धारण भक्त परायण, परतीश्वर साई राम, परतीश्वर साई राम, भक्त वत्सल तेरो नाम ओ साई, दुख भंजन तेरो नाम। With humility and love, I offer my most humble and reverential salutations at the lotus feet of our beloved Bhagwan. I thank the organizers for this wonderful, wonderful opportunity that has been bestowed on me. I consider it as a privilege and blessing to be a part of this wonderful satsang. It's not easy to be continuing something on a routine basis for 2 years, and it's a wonderful effort by the organizers and all of you brothers and sisters, and thank you very much for making me a part of this wonderful session. One of the elders in our hostel, he narrated a small experience to us that in the erstwhile days when there was no Kulwant Hall, there was it was all the sands and just the Bhajan Mandir which was there. And there was a devotee seated in the gents side, and Swami immediately identified him as Swami's schoolmate, classmate. And Swami just called him for interview. And then Swami means, to us Swami is God, but then when Swami identifies himself as a peer, as a friend, Swami's demeanor was very different, it seems. In the interview room, they were all chatting and everything. So one of the teachers who was talking to us was the door boy in the interview room. So he was also observing Swami to be a very different in that interview. And out of the blue, this man asked Swami, you've become so big now, Swami, a lot of devotees, and you're a very important person now. Do you ever remember me? Do you take time to remember me? Have you ever thought of me? He asked. And it seems the instantaneous reply was, why do you think you are here today? And it didn't click immediately to him. And then Swami said, if I had not thought of you, you would not have thought to come and see me. So the very thought that you wanted to come and see me, you wanted to be in my presence, understand that I have thought of you. And taking that thought a little forward, we can all be very sure that unless Swami has thought about us, and we will not be able to think of him. And today, this satsang would not have been possible if not Swami thinking about us. And I think it's a blessing, and how blessed all of you are that every Sunday or previous, I was also told that during the pandemic, it was twice a week. It was Swami made you do this kind of satsang to, send vibes across to the world. And then this is such a blessed gathering, and it's my fortune and blessing to be a part of this. Thank you. So unless Swami wills, nothing at all can happen. And that small shlokam or the alap just said that ek pag aage, do pag piche, tum tak kaise aaye. Means Swami, we have so many limitations. We're all human beings, and we have a lot of weaknesses, as we call it, or things like that. And we try to take a step forward, but then we land up taking 2 steps backward. Swami, how do we come to you? And then the bhajan says, "Tum sang bandhi prem ki dori," meaning Swami, you have tied the rope of love. And I think the only thing that Swami is doing means, why do everyone identify themselves with Swami? Why are they able to connect to Swami? Because according to me, in my humble opinion, Swami is the God of least judgment. According to me, whoever we are, whatever we are, the only thing that binds us to Swami is his infinite love. And as we call him under any circumstance, he's just there. He's just right there to answer to us. Once it seems Ram Brahmam sir, who was the caretaker of the Brindavan ashram, he was a very ardent devotee of Bhagwan. And once he had a flask in his hand and he was carrying it towards the college in the Brindavan. So there is a college building and a hostel. And he just crossed that side and he was going towards the college. They were laying a foundation stones in that place for a tank. And then they were digging. And they said, "Sir, we just started praying to Swami and you have come here. So please, you also, you start digging and we will continue." So he did that. And in the process, he fell down. And then he said, "Swami," and then he just fell down. But luckily, there was a small injury. Nothing much happened. And then he went, finished his work, came back. And then he was in the bungalow in the ground floor, Swami's bungalow. And then Swami was upstairs. And then sir had this flask. And Swami called Ram Brahmam. And Ram Brahmam sir took the flask. He was rushing to go to Swami, it seems. So he took the flask, he found a place to keep and then went up. And then as he went up, Swami said, "Swami, meer pilcharu. Swami, you called me." And then he said, "Not now. That time I called you." It took a few seconds to understand that Swami was upset that he took time to keep the flask and then come, rather than coming immediately to Swami when he called. And then Swami said, "If I would have also waited to complete my work and then come to you rescue, your leg would have been broken today." So he's that Swami to us who's just ready by the call. Like the moment we call us, he's just there. And that's his infinite love. And sometimes our logical mind will not be able to comprehend that. And in higher secondary school, when we were all students, it used to be like a small mechanical thing that, okay, we'll go for darshan, just wait for Swami to come and then have that darshan and then come back. And slowly, you'll realize that, oh my God, that 1 hour of sitting, there is a lot of vibrations and love that Swami is spreading to all of us, which we probably may not be able to understand. And then there were a lot of fighting and all used to go on just to get that first line over there and then sit. And one particular day, what happened was that I used to be one of the guys who used to fight with everybody just to get that first line. So sometimes we used to not have lunch, and then they started changing the rules, saying, okay, first it was during lunchtime we can put the mat for first, and then it used to be, okay, no, the whole school has to get over, then only you can come and reserve your line, so on and so forth, and nothing worked. And then I was very desperate to keep giving letters to Swami every time. Every time I had, means I was also homesick because of staying 10 years with parents, or 16 years with parents. It was extremely difficult for me to cope up in the hostel. So it used to be like I go to Mandir, uh, I feel like, okay, will be the last day after maybe darshan. I will call up parents and say, come and take me. I think I'm done. Because my father was not exactly desperate, but he wanted to be Swami student, but somehow the financial conditions in their family did not permit him. And we tried for my sister, it did not work. And then my father was like, one day you study in Swami's hostel and college, school, that's enough for me, nothing more is required. So seeing me struggle in hostel, he was like, any day you tell me, I'll come and take you. So I used to go to darshan saying, maybe today is the last day, I'll pray to Swami and come back. But that 45 minutes or 1 hour of darshan, I'll feel, okay, maybe one more day we can stay. So maybe one more day we can stay. And that's how I landed up staying till my PhD in that place. That's what Swami does. So coming back to this, I used to want to give letters, and it became a problem that my classmates, they went to the teacher and said, this guy is becoming very desperate, he's wanting to do all these things. So I felt every day I'm going to darshan in this negative mindset. So let me not fight for that first line. Whenever it comes, it comes. So till then, I will not fight, and I will not keep wanting to desperately give letters and Pad Namaskar, because some teacher had told that unless Swami permits you, you should not take Pad Namaskar. While going for darshan, if you simply take Pad Namaskar, it means you have not asked Swami. Swami should tell Tisko, and then you should take. Okay, so I thought I'll follow it. So, but every time I had a fight or I felt bad or something, I had a Swami's photo in my cupboard. So I used to write number of letters, sometimes per day, two letters or three letters, and then keep it in the altar in my cupboard. And then somehow that year passed, end of 11th standard, and there were at least about 200 letters or so, which I had not given it physically to Swami, but I kept it. So one day, it was 31st of March, and we had to go home. And while going home, I thought, why not give these letters to Swami and check if he'll take all that. So I put all those papers in one envelope, and then I took it to Mandir. And that day, there were a lot of boys who were giving letters to Swami because they were also going home. So Mandir was crowded. It was not chance wise. So all the students across the institute, school, everybody were there. And that day, Swami was somehow just not taking any letters. He was just coming. He was looking here and there. Boys were trying to keep the letter on Swami's lap, but the brothers behind were brushing it aside and things like that. So I thought it's impossible that Swami is going to take. So I was just holding it in my hand. And as Swami came through, he just took all the letters. He brought his hand forward and then took the envelope, which had almost 200 letters, and went. And then it was just a very happy moment, no doubt. But then from that day, I just understood that no matter whether he's physically taking it or not, doesn't matter. All that I need to just do is keep writing letters and then offer it to him. And it's like he's understood it. And there is no further explanations required. So especially after 2 years after Mahasamadhi, one of the ways where I get solace is whenever I write to Swami. So one of the practices that I started doing was, if I can write my everyday diary as a letter to Swami, maybe I can report whatever happened on that day to Swami, and that itself can become like a connection that I can have with Swami. So that was one thing that kept me going, especially after 2011, whenever I was desperate, and when I was physically missing Swami's form, and it was impossible to sit in Kulwant Hall for a long time, because you just saw Swami previously, and then you would not be able to see him later. So that was one way in which I could connect to Swami. And one day in Brindavan campus, our warden used to narrate a lot of stories. And every night we used to have this satsang, where just a 15-minute after night prayer, just before we sleep, just the initiative that we need to think of Swami before we sleep. So physically, when we see Swami on a daily basis, we were not very particular that we should establish a way of connection. But then after 2011, it became very important that we had to find a way of connecting and then conveying everything to Swami, because you don't know with whom you can go and open up so much as you could with Swami. So I was finding it extremely difficult, because I was not also not getting many dreams. So many boys used to come and say they had dreams. Some used to say different ways of connections. So one day our warden sir just said, start with one way of connecting, and then he would 100% ensure that there is a way. uh, he will take it forward, because he says one step you take and I will take 10 steps towards you. So I started with the small thing that when I used to sleep next to me, I used to keep a small photograph of Swami, so that when I get up in the morning, I look at the photograph and say, "Good morning, Swami." I used to just do this much. And then slowly, I started like assuming that, okay, Swami is with me. So I probably, while going from hostel to college, try to talk to Swami in the process of basically trying to introspect, but assuming that the person whom I'm talking to is not me, but Swami. And slowly it became, I started, whenever I close my eyes, I used to think of as though Swami is standing next to me and then giving me vibhuti or talking to me and things like that. So one particular day, exams were coming. So in our higher secondary school, for every small thing we used to go towards Swami. So if there is an exam, we just hold pens like this, and then while Swami will be going, and then he'll just touch the pen, bless, and then go. So our end semester exams were approaching, and I was wondering, no, how will I get blessed this time? So I started thinking that every day when after bhajans in Brindavan, we used to go around Trai Brindavan. So for all Brindavan students, the Trai Brindavan building itself is like Swami. So we used to go around and then come back into Sai Ramesh Hall. There'll be no lights because it's already 7:30, and so there'll just be one small photograph of Swami with one small diya in front of it. So I used to stand there and pray as though Swami is handing over vibhuti to us. So I used to do that daily, and one particular day, I literally visualized that Swami was trying to give me vibhuti. And then that day when I opened my eyes and I found a few vibhuti packets. So I just was not able to take it. The day after tomorrow was my exam, and it became very evident, like just tears were coming down. There'll be one part of the mind saying, okay, somebody else would have kept the packets and things like that. But the heart knows when the timing is what is important with respect to Swami. So these were the small ways in which Swami tried to console many of us who were in the kid zone to school, like school kids who were trying to miss his form and trying to take baby steps towards how to connect to him. What should we do? And then we started talking to people. Like the best part was when we are physically not very close to Swami, we will want to listen to a lot of miracles, as like Swami created change, Swami created this, there was vibhuti manifestation like this, like that. But then once we go into the close quarters of people who have had first hand interaction with Swami, when we go to them is when we realize, oh, I want to learn how human was Swami. Means how was Swami living? Uh, so we had some of the best teachers who had beautiful experiences of how Swami used to live. Oh, one of the stories which really touched me was uh, one which Ruchir sir had told us. So once they had been to Kodaikanal, Swami had taken the whole entourage to Kodaikanal, and then one particular day, Swami will allow boys to go for a shopping. And then so many boys went to shopping, and somebody had gotten a nice blanket from this Tibetan shop. And Swami seemed to apparently like that. And then Swami asked, Bagunaye, very nice blankets these are. And then Swami looked at Ruchir sir and said, just find out how much it is. We will, and we can buy. And sir went and then found, sir also happened to be the cooperative society, the stores in charge in the Brindavan campus. So with all that knowledge, sir tried comparing the prices, where can it be better. And he came to know that those were actually, some of those were made from somewhere in Gujarat, and they were trying to get it to this person, and he was in fact selling it. So after 3-4 days, he went to Swami to tell Swami, this person who's selling it is so and so. He's selling it for this price. If we buy from here, whatever 100 of these blankets, this will be the cost. But I have found that they actually make this in the factory. I try to contact them, and I will be getting the contact within 2 days, and we can save so much money. The whole thing he was explaining to Swami, and Swami looked at him and asked, "Did I tell you to do all these things?" He said, "No, Swami, I was, because the cost we can save." He said, "Do you think I have not done these calculations?" Then it became very evident that sir had to just stay silent, because Swami was apparently very upset. And then Swami said, "Let's see, I come here maximum once in a year, and then these people get business through our devotees. And once I leave from here, most of these people, their business doesn't run here, and so they don't have a livelihood. So when I come here, I want to see how much benefit I can give through my stay here. So don't talk to me about all these calculations. Just go and buy from that person." So that love for some, like a shopkeeper who was doing business, and Swami had the least, means whom we think that we are least bothered about, or we may not give the thought about those people. I think Swami will be thinking. One more time, I heard this experience again in Kodai, that Swami was doing Narayan Seva. Generally, he does it during the Ishvara Made. In most of the times, when in summers when Swami is there in Kodaikanal, they do Narayan Seva, and also for some of this poor and downtrodden, Swami used to give them personally blankets and all, because of the cold weather. So one particular day, Swami was somehow not very happy giving just to them. Swami was somehow dissatisfied, or he wanted to give more. So Swami went to the driver and said, "Take 50 more blankets and saris and other things, and then take me to a drive." And then Swami, whomever he found on the road, Swami personally went to him and gave. And not just that, over a 20-kilometer stretch after going, Swami went to one of the farms where somebody was doing farming. Swami called that person by name. And the students who were in Swami's car were surprised, saying, "Swami is calling this person by name." And then Swami calls him. And then when those people come running towards Swami, Swami inquired about them, everything, and gives them clothes and food. And then when he's coming back, he says, he's a daily wage labor here. If he comes to the ashram to collect the clothes, today's income he will not be getting. So for him, I had to come all the way to give. So these were some things where you realize that Swami's love is just infinite. And we have to just be doing what we are doing in the best possible way, and then leave it to Swami. And then he will certainly take care, and he will certainly be there for us. In fact, one of the other experiences, there are multiple ways to obviously connect to Swami. And so one of the ways is, as I told you, writing letters to Swami is one in which we connected. And then one of the ways is also through singing or through chanting his name. If we see, if we look at the kind of, from our scriptures and from, there are Navavida Bhaktis, we would have all heard all of those things. But if it is only Swami who can simplify devotion in the most possible, the most subtle manner. He just simplified it. In fact, one of Swami's discourses, Swami just told, "You don't need to even chant my name. You just say Devud Unnadaya," means God is there. Just tell this much, and that is enough for you to connect to me. There is no requirement of doing tapas or dhyana. And even in our organization, if you see, there is a study circle group, there will be a bhajan, there is a spiritual side, there is a seva side. So there are so many ways. Swami has just told that one, 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 whichever way is easier to you, you come and do it. I heard from one of my friends. It was a very funny conversation. He was trying to tell that in Hinduism, we were just conversing in a very random way. In Hinduism, they say that in Shastras there is no description of how to do puja to Shirdi Baba. That's why the actual Hindus following the Puranas and Shastras, the Agama Shastra, which shows us how to worship, in that there is no mention about Shirdi Baba. That's why most of the Hindus don't still consider as Shirdi Baba. Leaving the logical part and the reasoning behind, I just got it. We just had a random thought that there is no agama, there is no shodashopachara, there is nothing. Why? Because he has allowed us to worship him in whichever way we want to. That is why there is no one particular way. This is how you should worship. There is no binding on any of us as to how should you connect to me. Let it just be heart to heart. Whatever you want, you just do, and I am there for you. In our 12th class, we all used to show projects to Swami. Our 11th class, 12th class board exams, we have practical aspects. So in that, we used to do some normal projects, and we used to show those projects to Swami, and Swami used to just bless them. So it all started, I think, with the computer science projects, and then bioscience students used to start showing, and then even the commerce students started showing. So the non-computer science MPC students were not able to show any project because BIPC are showing bioscience, MPC computer science are showing computer science, the commerce students are showing accounts. So the MPC non-computer science, we had no way to show. So I felt a very rebellious student, and I went to the warden and said, "Sir, you can't be partial with us, sir. So please allow us to show something to Swami." And then we decided that we will show the chemistry project to Swami. It happened, it was in 2011, our 12th class, and Swami's frequency to Mandir started reducing. So Swami was more or less coming on alternate days, if not 2 days. Like somehow he was not coming on a regular basis to Mandir. The bioscience projects got blessed first, and the computer science students went just the day before. So if it was, I went to warden to ask today, just yesterday, the computer science students got blessed. So it was decided that from today, we could take the chemistry projects. So I felt that I had a lot of sense and brains. So I went out to darshan with the project in hand, and then with great, Swami says, love my uncertainty, but then we think that we can predict every move of Swami. So I thought yesterday only Swami came, yesterday only Swami blessed the students. So today Swami will not come mostly. And even if Swami comes, he's not going to call the students because for him, so many things are there and not just 12th standard students. So I had a stick file in which I kept the project. So I thought today or tomorrow I will give it for spiral binding. And from tomorrow I will take it for blessings. So I went back to the hostel, kept the project, and then went to Mandir. So the first shock was at 8:45. We went to Mandir at 5:30. At 8:40 or so, we get news that Swami is coming to Mandir. That was the first shock for me because I had expected he'll not come. The second shock was as soon as he came to the dais and sat, he called for the projects. And here the great ego inside is saying that you were the one who asked for all your batchmates and you are not getting blessed. What are you? You are like, you would have done some sin, and that's why you're not doing all these things. You're not getting blessed. That's why you're not able to go to Swami. Gee, shame on you. All these things happening internally. I'm feeling very, very miserable. At one point of time, I thought I'll ask my friend and take his project and go and show mine. All these thoughts are coming, but but I'm sitting with the bhajan group. I'm not even sitting with the boys. It looked very odd to do all those things. So I just felt that I'm cursed. Something is wrong. Let's forget it. And then I'm closing my eyes. I'm not even able to see that all my batchmates are going. And Mike comes to us for singing bhajan. And then the bhajan was Sai Hamara Hum Sai Ke. Just closed my eyes and I kept singing. I was almost in tears, but I just didn't want to make a scene over there. So I just closed my eyes and I was with tears. I just sang that bhajan. I finished. I came back to, I was coming back to hostel. And there was one of my very close friends who got blessed that day. So many of my batchmates got themselves blessed, but got their projects also blessed. But this guy was a little closer to me. So he came and he was giving, Swami had given him vibhuti packets. So he came and he gave those, some of those, some vibhuti to me. And then as I was taking, he looked at me and he said, "You're very blessed, man." I said, "See, I know what has happened to me today, and I can expect somebody else to come and make fun of me, but not you. Please don't do that." And then some 3-4 more students also came and said, it means we as batchmates will be like, today today Swami, you are the form boy, all these kind of things happen, and I become really miserable. And then this is when that friend told me, "Hey, I'm really telling you the truth. You know what happened?" So this guy narrated that he was showing his project to Swami, and then Swami, he was showing the page and he was telling the title. And then Swami was going page by page, and he was sitting right under Swami, in front of Swami. And that is when my bhajan started, my bhajan singing started. And it seems Swami stopped looking at his project, kind of signaled him to move, and he was looking at who was singing. So apparently Swami seemed to have looked at me, and it seems Swami followed the bhajan, and through the bhajan he just closed the project and gave it to him, and the next student went. So this boy observed Swami looking at me, and then so he came and told me. I also felt how unfortunate that I was also not aware that Swami is looking at me only. So that got over, and again Swami's Mahasamadhi happened. So that's where I used to keep visualizing that, okay, Swami is giving me vibhuti, because I didn't think that day I missed vibhuti. And after that, I used to feel very guilty that if at all I had a little bit sense prevailing, I would have got an opportunity to go and show it to Swami. This happened in 2011. And then I went to Brindavan, finished my BSc, came to Parthi, was doing MSc. And one of the things that I had heard during my 12th class was one of the sirs had told that, see, with Swami, things are very uncertain, right? So when you go to give rose to Swami, or when you to give Aarti to Swami, how do you get dressed? You know that you're going to Swami, right? So you are wearing the best of your clothes, isn't it? But some days when you're not giving those, you wear normal clothes and go. Why? So you believe that Swami will not call you. And obviously, Swami will respond to that, and he will not call you and he will not give you attention. So if you think that every day is going to be a rose giving chance, and make yourself prepared for that, for sure, someday Swami will echo that and you will get a chance. So when he said, that one thing got stuck in me, and in my 12th standard, I started maintaining separate set of clothes from my 12th standard, that these are my whites for hostel and college and other activities. And these whites are specific to Mandir, because anytime Swami would call me and I should be ready to be presentable to him. It did happen in 12th class that some days when I went and sat, when I didn't sit in bhajan group, that day it happened to be my prasadam chance. And for a change, Swami used to always come in car and go in car, because Swami's health was not fine then. But the day when I went for prasadam, Swami came out of the car, and then I was able to show. So that made it even more strengthening that I should be prepared for Swami. So in my MSc, when I came back to Prasanthi Nilayam, I again started following the same trend of having separate clothes. And then even though that day our bhajans used to not be there, I used to be there in Mandir. And one particular day, there was this Sai youth from a particular Parthi Yatra group, and it was supposed to be their bhajan. I used to feel, Swami, every day we sing for you, and suddenly I am not able to sing. But started realizing that it is a chance for everybody. Prasanthi Nilayam is home for everyone, right? So whenever they used to, any group asks us for help. So some groups ask us for instrument support and things. So we used to get from hostel, and then that day one of the students was sitting. Then I also was as a PG student, I sat next to Vedam group, because anyway it is not our bhajans. And those brothers started singing bhajans. And somehow, unfortunately, maybe they were nervous, or maybe what went wrong, I was not sure. And suddenly, uh, some of the elders, who sit beside Swami's Sannidhi, they looked at me and identified me as a bhajan singer. And then they start take over. I was not sure what was being said. And then that particular day, we were just two singers. And they said, you take over the bhajans. And then as per the instructions, we started singing bhajans. So it was like, it used to generally happen only when Swami was physically there, that suddenly he will look at some of Swami's boys and say, hey, you start singing, you start singing. So that kind of an experience, and that again strengthened my feeling that yes, Swami is there, and it is his will that today I got an opportunity to sing. So whether it is our bhajans or not our bhajans, I will keep that Swami is here. So fast forward to 2021 November, my thesis submission date. It was 11th of November is when I submitted my thesis, and it was 10th of November we had sent our thesis to be printed in Anantapur. And then from Anantapur, the vendor sent it by bus. And myself and there is another brother of mine, Aditya ji, both of us got our thesis on the same day. And I told him, see, the thesis he's sending in a carton box. And if Swami was physically there, he would have personally asked us, hey, I mean, it used to be what we heard from elders was Swami used to be very excited to see the thesis or anything new that we have done and we've got. So Swami will be very excited to see our thesis. So let's first take it to Yajur Mandir and there only open the carton box and then first show it to Swami and then we will see ourselves. So we went to Yajur Mandir. Obviously, we were not allowed inside. So we gave it to the Sevadal and said, so please get it, open this whole carton in front of Swami only first, and then you give it back to us. So we did that. And then they got it, and then we saw our thesis, and then we went to our respective supervisors, got it signed, everything. That evening, so this was 2021 and November 11th. So the Prasanthi Nilayam had not yet still fully opened for devotees. Bhajans till Akhanda Bhajan, till the global Akhanda Bhajan, even the devotees are not allowed to sit inside Kulwant Hall. So it was just the Bhajan group, 10 or 12 of us sitting for the Bhajans and then going. And after that, devotees used to be permitted for darshan. And so one of the brother, so this brother Aditya and I thought we can surely not get blessed with by Swami keeping it in Sannidhi. So I knew this person inside Bhajan Hall because he saw me as a singer for a number of years. So I thought I'll ask him to keep it at Swami's throne inside Bhajan Hall and give it. And then we both went, and then he kept it in the Bhajan Hall. He gave us the flowers and everything. And then this brother of mine said, anyway, Swami's throne is outside. Let us go. I said, see, we will not be allowed anywhere nearer to Swami's throne to show it to Swami and all that. So why should we take? He said, no, even as a public, we'll just hold our thesis like this in the position and then keep walking as though we will show it to Swami. I said, okay, fine, let's go do that. And then both of us walked as along with the public. And then we were keeping our thesis like that and then trying to show it to Swami. And the person who was in charge of the lines, he called both of us and said, what is this? I said, it's our thesis. Oh, your PhD is getting over? Yes, brother, it's getting over. Wait for 10 minutes. Waited for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, almost half an hour. And the whole public stopped coming and they were all sitting. And this brother just opens the barricades and say, go show it to Swami. So in 2011, I could not show my project to Swami. In 2021, I was sitting in front of Swami's Sannidhi in Kulwant Hall. and I showed my thesis page by page. And while showing is when it clicked to me that, my God, I was not able to show my project, and today I'm showing my thesis. And I showed, and that gave me a lot of confidence and boosting that now once I showed my thesis, I don't think my reviewers and examiners are going to tell me any comment, because after Swami sees, who is going to see it, who is going to tell something. And very similar to that, in February when my thesis came back, both the reviewers had examiners had said a yes for direct defense. And this is how I realized that if we are able to, keep that yearning, because I heard from this in 2007 Kodaikanal, Swami was slightly, Swami had fallen by then, and Swami used to take few steps to walk to his room from where he used to sit. So every day, the 1.1 student who used to sit in Kodaikanal, he used to get up and then give his hand to hold Swami's hand. And then he used to take Swami to the room. So that happened for every day, one boy. So one particular day, this brother was holding Swami's hand and they were walking inside. And then Swami was looking at everybody. And then Swami pointed to this brother who was holding Swami. He said, very lucky, no? Swami said, it seems. And then all of them who were sitting down said, yes, Swami, he's very lucky. He's able to hold your hand and walk. And then Swami said, holding my hand is not enough. Yearning to hold my hand is what I need. So that, again, when I was because during my MSc times, I had asked so many of our brothers as to why I used to also have this question as to why should I be born in 93, that only 2 years I was able to experience Swami physically, when all of them had experienced Swami very well as in previously. Had I born 10 years earlier, probably I would have had more of Swami, right? Why only 2 years I had? But then these kind of stories made it a little more convincing, saying, okay, as long as we have the yearning that I need to go closer to him, I need to do this, and he's always answered it. So for me, even Swami's Samadhi, after 2011 Swami Sannidhi, I used to not go near and pray to Swami, because I used to feel, how can I do? I won't be able to take it, Swami. I miss your physical presence. And I also, as a family, we are devotees of Tirupati also. Now, Venkateshwara Swami is our Kuladaivam. So I used to be very desperate to go to Tirupati. So once my Upanayanam got arranged, and it happened in Swami's in 2019, when it happened as a group Samashti Upanayanam by Swami's Trust, Karnataka Trust. Through that only, I also got my Upanayanam done. And just after that, I had my Tirupati plan booked. I was so excited to go there. And then, because it was a VIP darshan and somebody had written a VIP letter, a break darshan as they call it. So I was so excited that I'm going to have the nearest darshan of the Lord and things like that. And it became a disappointment, because when we went there, it was huge crowd, and then we could not go till the last door. And that whole day made me very upset, thinking, why was I so desperate? Why was I so desperate? And I was thinking again and again. And then this thought came to me saying, are you thinking that you are staying in Parthi and trying to take it for granted? Do you think, being in Swami's presence, you're probably underestimating his, his power and his divinity? And so from that day, because from 2011, I used to not every day go for Swami's darshan. But since that day in 2019, come what may, I used to go to Swami's Sannidhi and then stay there for a while and then pray to Swami. This happened for more than 45 days. And I started convincing myself that this is the most powerful place on earth. This is like the, like some people call it epicenter of, spirituality or divinity and things like that. So I used to start feeling, if Swami sat here for a number of years, and if every day, Nitya Agnihotram, they call it like that, here Nitya Namasmarana Seva happens. Even through COVID, at least Vedam and Bhajans didn't stop in Prasanthi Mandir. So if that vibration is filled in that place and I get access to go there every day, and why am I not able to make use of it? And I should not be regretting this. So I started vehemently, whenever I go to Mandir, I'll ensure that I go to Swami and I have his darshan. So I started doing that after Mangalarti, go take Swami's darshan and then go to Bhajan Hall and keep tabla or all those things. So this happened for around 1.5 months. And then my father again said, probably you'll have to take a leave and come because we are once again going to Tirupati. I said, this time I'm not interested. Probably I may not want to come and things like that. But somehow he said, no, this time we are going as a family. See, last time you went alone with that, as a VIP thing. Now we will go like this. So this time I was zero expectation. And I said, I don't want to do anything. But this time when we went, I got to stay inside the Sanctum Sanctorum for almost 15 minutes. When everybody was getting pushed, nobody even came and touched me or do anything. I stood there. I sang a few kritis. I sang a few bhajans. And then to my heart's content, when I felt that I want to go out is when I came out. So this experience made me really rethink. Like when people said that on one particular day, when the head priest in Tirumala was giving Harati to Swami, he found Swami's feet while doing the Tomala Seva. And then that morning, Swami made a comment that Iroju Andaru Tirumala nunchi vastaru. So Swami simply told, today evening everyone will come from Tirumala. As Swami said, the whole set of priests and many of them had come that evening to Brindavan to have Swami's darshan. And then Swami chided that person. It seems, what, you saw me there or what? Like that, Swami was joking. So sometimes the power of these statements or these experiences we may not be able to understand. But then after going through this, I was very sure that Prashanthi Nilayam, where I am staying, where Swami is blessed, is the spiritual powerhouse, at least for me. And then we just cannot underestimate his presence there. We may not be able to see, that's okay, but that doesn't stop him from doing whatever. Because one of the very recently, the former Tamil Nadu state president Ramani sir, I was having a conversation with him that sir, maybe I'll be going to the US for postdoc, and as a career advisor I was just trying to talk to him. And then he was telling that, see Ananth, sometimes you guys who have always been in Parthi should go out to know what all leelas that Swami can do and where all Swami is spread out. So when one of the former students had come to the US, thinking that, okay, I will spread Swami's message, I will try to be the torch bearer and things like that. And he went in a taxi, and the taxi driver happened to say that, I see Swami every day because he has come and met me a few times. Is when you realize that we are nobody we are nobody to spread his message or do work for him. He is doing it already, and his power and his reach is beyond. In fact, in a very recent satsang, somebody asked us, as all of us audience we were sitting, what is the greatest miracle of Bhagwan? And people tried answering so many things, self-transformation, things like that. And then that elder devotee said, the greatest miracle of Swami is allowing his reach to be minimal to only some of us. Because we are in the social media time where, a small train crash in New York will, within 5 seconds, somebody in India or somebody in Australia will be able to know. But how is it possible that massive transformation and massive mission is happening of Swami, and the kind of love that is spread, how the entire world is not able to come into his form? That itself, that is he said, that is a miracle. That if the whole world comes, then nobody will be able to go near to Swami in his in a magnanimous love and that power. So the thing is, he is calling people in his own time. He is doing his mission. We have to just be available to be able to do, because whatever we are doing is for our own good. We are not doing it for him. What can we do? Give it to him, right? So there was one brother who was staying with Swami, And he means we all call them farm boys, and staying with Swami, we think it's a greatest blessing. It is greatest blessing, no doubt, but it comes with a lot of responsibility as well. And he had the fortune of staying inside Swami's room for more than a decade. And one of his stories just was a shock. At the same time, it moved me a lot. For more than 1,000 days, Swami had not spoken to him. So this brother, who morning to evening staying in Swami's room, doing seva for Swami, even taking care of Swami's clothes, washing the bathrooms, taking care of all the domestic needs for Swami, Swami stopped talking to him for something little more than 3 years. And every day, Swami, he used to do everything for Swami, but Swami used to be mum. He used to write letters to him, whatever. Some people call this as ignore Upanishad. This is one of the Upanishads we learn in Swami's presence, when he starts to ignore, because that's a churning, that's a lesson. In fact, 2 days back, when I was traveling from Hyderabad to Chennai, I was talking to my mother, and something came about Swami. And then the person next to me asked, "Are you talking about Satya Sai Baba?" I said, "Yeah, I'm talking about Satya Sai Baba." And the conversation went on. And then I said I was a student. She said, "Yeah, I also heard, it is called Satya Sai Institute of Higher Churning, because all of you go through a lot of churning in that process." Because Swami probably does. I say, for all devotees, in fact, this is true, not just students. Swami, at one point of time, he will want to probably test our devotion, or what that introspection means to us. Only we should know, right? So this brother was going through that. Swami was just not talking to him. He tried giving letters, so many things. And to the world, he is the most fortunate, he is the most lucky, and he knows that being in that place, that close to Swami, he's not able to talk to Swami. He's, for some reason, there is a gap. And towards he kept it, and probably towards the end of those days, he took courage to go towards Swami. And it used to means, just for giving you an example, it used to be this much, that if Swami has a cough, if this brother goes and gives a kerchief, Swami will not take it, and Swami will ask somebody else to give kerchief, that sort of a thing. So Swami was evidently doing this for some reason. And one day this brother took the courage to tell Swami, there are millions of devotees across the world who want to please you. And somehow I am this close to you physically, but somehow every action of mine is displeasing you. Probably sometimes my presence itself is not pleasing you. Please send me away. Because when the devotees get to know that Swami is being upset day in and day out because of a person, they will also feel sad about it. So please send me off, and probably there is a better devotee or a better student of yours who can come and please you. Please, Swami, send me away. And he started sobbing. And Swami just patiently heard everything and just asked him, "So you have stayed back for me. After MBA, you didn't go for a job. You're not working. You're just doing Swami Seva. You're not married. You're away from your parents. And you're doing all these things. Why?" And probably the 3 years of churning and introspection made this brother give the answer to Swami. "Swami, I'm doing it for my satisfaction. Atma Trupti." And then that answer just changed everything for that brother. And Swami started talking to him much more than what he used to before. In a sense, what I learned, at least from this, was we cannot do anything for Swami. We will not be able to give him anything because everything is his, right? What can we do is, what does he want? Means whatever seva activities, whatever when Swami says bend your body, mend your senses, end your mind, everything, all those things which Swami has told in our discourses is for us, right? It's not for him. We will not be able to do anything to give it to him. It is for our own good. And if we are able to make ourselves satisfied, happy, and make ourselves a better offering to him, that is what he wants. So that made me rethink as to, okay, what are we doing? Because it happened in my 12th standard again. That year, as I told you, Swami was not very frequently coming to Mandir. And Swami was also, even if Swami is coming, he used to come a bit late. So if bhajan started 5:30, sometimes bhajans used to go till 9 o'clock. So like some 70 bhajans, 80 bhajans a day and all we used to sing. But so what happened? We were all in 12th standard and we had board exams. So a lot of my friends used to get textbooks and start studying till the gap when Swami comes. At least they can make use of the time. Somehow I made a the thing that I will not take any books. So I will only go sing bhajans and then come back. I will not do anything. This was just nearer to our board exam, somewhere in February, March. And it almost became like we had 4-hour bhajans every day. One particular day, it if Swami is not going to come, that day 6:30 bhajans will get over. If not, it will keep extending. So that at least that's a safe thing that, okay, Swami is going to come. Even if it is late, he will come for darshan that day. So one particular day, somewhere about 8:25, 8:30, I got this stupid thought, because around me, my friends were doing sample question paper. So they used to start at 5 o'clock writing the sample question paper. For 3 hours, they used to finish by 8. And that all that used to happen in Mandir itself. So I felt like, hey, what am I doing? Am I wasting my time? Or all these thoughts came and I was like, Swami, I told that I will not get books for you. And then you are testing me like this by not coming. And, before that statement, an empty chair came indicating that Swami is not going to come today. It was 8:30. Generally, it comes by 6:30. If Swami was not going to come, we used to get that empty chair at 6:30 itself. So that day, as this thought is running, the chair came. I became very upset. It's just then the thought clicked that Swami, it was internally, I felt like Swami is telling, okay, fine, then go and study. I'm not going to come, that sort of a thing. So the Swami's chair came. I felt, oh my God, am I the reason? Means that immaturity, probably. Am I the reason why, Swami is denying darshan for these many people? Oh, I'm sorry. I immediately, there was a small notebook. I started writing, I'm really sorry, Swami. I started, and we were singing. I was also singing. Just bhajan came to me, and then we thought that was the last bhajan, and the last line, and the purohit was ready to give aarti, and the person came running from inside, and then he removed the chair, and then there was a thunderous applause saying that, okay, finally Swami is going to come. So that few minutes made me realize that he never asked me telling, don't get your books to Mandir. It was I who decided that I'm not going to get books to Mandir. So when I decided, it is for me and my offering. Either we should be in a position to say, Swami, this is whatever you do, I leave it, it's my surrendering. Or we say that, Swami, I am going to do this because I need time to study. He has never asked, do this for me, do that for me, right? So when this experience, after almost a decade, was narrated to me, this is where I was thinking that whenever we are telling, Swami, I am going to do this for you, it is our decision, our offering. He has never asked us. He has never asked us to do this for my birthday, do this. No, we are doing it. Why? We are doing it for our benefit, because we believe it, we are satisfied. If we feel internally that this offering we cannot do, choose something else, because those many things are there with Swami, right? He never said just do only this much. We all know about the greatest devotee Chinna Katha that Swami has told. Work is worship, do whatever we are doing, but just take a few minutes out of your everyday to this happened to my supervisor, actually, that he was having darshan. He was sitting for darshan. That day, Swami gave a mouthful to the warden and the assistant warden that students are not disciplined, everything so on. And Swami was apparently very angry. And then my sir, my teacher, he was sitting behind. So he thought this is not the right time to get up and ask Swami anything. But when Swami came towards him, Swami looked at him and seemingly started talking. He thought Swami is telling him not to talk anything, and he sat down, and the brother next to him said, no, Swami is conversing with you. And then he got up, and then Swami was trying to tell him, that one of the teachers, Swami, was telling that you think that Swami is only in Kulwant Hall. Swami is there in your bedroom, Swami is there in your bathroom, Swami is there everywhere. He's seeing all the actions. This Papa Bhiti has reduced in you. So you have to, buck up. This is not right. So then he really got very scared that, oh my God, Swami is now showing his omnipresence and exposing me. And then he said, Swami, if your grace is there, I can transform myself, Swami. Then Swami asked, how many are there outside? So he was sitting in the portico. Swami asked in the public, how many are there sitting there? So Swami, tens of thousands are there, Swami. How many are sitting around you? So Swami, hundreds of staff and students are sitting. In spite of all of them, I'm sitting here on this chair and talking to you. Don't you think this is my grace? And then Swami said, see, have Deva Preeti. If you have Deva Preeti, Papa Bhiti, Sangha Niti will automatically come. Keep that one thing constant. So this was the advice that I also got from my teacher, saying that, have this. Just have that love for God and put it into some particular sadhana or action, whichever it is. You want to do Likirtanama Japam, you want to do bhajans, you want to, whatever it is, but do that constantly. And in fact, in the recent Satsangh in Kodaikanal, we had one of the former Anantapur warden. In their interview, Swami had told, it seems, every action of ours is either going to become a samskara, which is like a good habit for ages, or it is going to be a vasana, which is going to be a bad habit for ages. Either it's going to be one of that. So if we know that our past karma or some of it is like a glass of water, suppose it is that bad habit or something like that, we can just throw it and say, okay, we'll stop it. But some of our vasanas are so strong, they are like a huge, drum of dirty water, which we have acquired for ages. How do we change that? How do we make it good water? So Swami said, it seems, just take a small pipe, connect it to the tap of water, open the tap of water and put that pipe inside this dirty water. And there will be a constant running of pure water. And someday all this dirty water would have come out and there will be pure water. So like that, it was very, means how more simplified should we be able to understand? Like Swami trying to tell that have just one thing, do that every day, and that consistency, through that we can just change things. Whatever we have acquired, like Swami, 100% it is true that yes, our karma, Swami has told that Manishi Kadu, Brahma Kadu, Brahma, grandfather of Brahma will not be able to change the karmic consequences. But the same Swami has told that the love for God, through the love and devotion, if we are supposed to give 100 brick bats, probably Swami will make us feel that we just get 10. One day I was having a conversation where we were talking to, I was having with my mother, and then she was asking, we say we are Swami's devotees, but sometimes there are a lot of challenging situations that we face. And I was telling, let's see, means we just got a thought, let's see if there is a right teacher, there is a good teacher who is preparing you for board exams. He will not give us easy papers in the internals. He will give us the toughest paper in the internals and CIEs and everything, so that when we go to the end semester exam or the final exam, we see the question paper and say, oh, my teacher gave me much more. This is nothing compared to that. Like that, Swami's devotees doesn't mean that we are going to have a life filled of roses. It's not going to be a bed of roses. There are going to be lots of challenges, but then there is Swami behind us, holding our back and then saying, I am there. Just go. He gives that strength. He gives us the, makes us understand that it's welcome both, sorrow and happiness equally. So whenever we do seva, whenever we do so many activities, that is the goal we are actually, going towards. That what he has come to teach us, that is be equanimous. Your goal is not these normal things. We have also heard so many times Swami telling that I keep giving you all what you want so that one day you all ask me what I actually came to give you, right? So it all starts with a simple thing that we can offer, which we are convinced about, saying, okay, this is what I will take as a first step towards Swami, and then he will start doing everything for us. There is always the long term plans that he has for us. We just have no idea, and the only thing that we can do is just be available to Swami and say, Swami, I'm there for you. And if you don't know Vedam, do bhajan. If you don't know bhajan, just tell Swami's name, like that. As a group, so when most of our samiti activities or organizational activities, what Swami has told us, what Swami has made it happen is we do it as a group. Why? Swami gave some beautiful analogies for that. So Swami said, let's say all of you are going for a pilgrimage tour on your bikes. You're supposed to start in the morning at 3:30, 4 a.m. All of you are going by bikes. And let's say one of the person's headlight is not working. Because you're going in 20 bikes, the rest of the 19 bikes will be able to have light, will be able to show light. And then through that we can go. So like that, Swami says that sometimes individually, we will not be able to be pure enough to, like, let's say we sit for Namasmarana today. There might be 112 distractions. There may be 1,000 distractions for us. But let's say we are coming as a group, our individual small weaknesses can be can be overcome, because as a group the effect is going to be more. That's why when we do, whether we do Nagar Sankirtan, whether we do Supravatam or anything, if we do it as a group, the overall effect that is going to come on the group is going to be much more. Right? And when people pray as a group, Swami has always melted. Swami has always melted. In fact, there is a beautiful story that happened. Sorry, excuse me. In this, sometimes this Ignore Upanishad doesn't come to just one person, it comes to the entire institution. So there was a particular point in time when Swami was not talking to the entire student fraternity. So in Prasanthi Nilayam, and once, see, it is like this: when Swami is happy with us, however we are, the world apparently becomes happy with us and pleased with us. If Swami is not happy with us, however good we are, everybody will start being like, oh, hey, keep a note of them. That person Swami doesn't like, or Swami gets upset with him, so keep him far away. That kind of a thing happens. So when Swami was not talking to students, even Sevadals had to reciprocate that, saying, hey, no, you all should not sit here. This is the instruction. So don't even come inside, come this way, because that will distract Swami. So that was a treatment going towards all the students in Parthi. There were 700 odd students in both the hostels put together, school and institute. And then Guru Purnima festival was coming, and then they wanted to show something. They wanted to be like, we have to do something now. So they decided that they will sit and compose a song. So a few of the music brothers came together. They were all individually, boys were doing a lot of sadhana, but somehow they felt for Guru Purnima, all of us will offer this song. So they came, they wrote the song, they tuned, and every day after darshan, they went to the institute auditorium, practiced it. All 600, 700 students used to sit and practice that song together. And they were feeling, and through the practice, the song was also very touching, and everybody tried to express their feelings. Now, if that song has to be sung on Guru Purnima Day, then mic has to be given, and the person who was in charge of mic said that unless Swami gives me permission and allows you to sing, I will not give you mic levels also, because it should not happen that Swami comes and asks me, who asked you to give them, who asked them to sing? I never permitted them. So somehow some senior students took the courage to go to Swami and say, Swami, we have planned for a song, please permit us to sing, please. And then Swami said, "Oh, Padkondi, just go sing. Who cares?" That sort of a reply. But at the end of it, he said, "You think I don't know? I know." So, okay, Swami is aware that we are practicing a song. He has permitted us to sing. And then that particular day, all of the brothers, with utmost feeling, they sang the song. हमको तुमसे प्यार कितना, साई तुम ही जानते, दिलों की धड़कन तुम हो साई, तुम हमारे प्राण हो, हमको तुमसे प्यार है, we love you, dear Sai, we love you. So when they were composing the English, the Telugu part of it, another brother had written the lyrics. So it happened that three of them were sitting. There is just 10 minutes left for the boys to come and they had to tune it. So two or three music boys are sitting and then they look at the lyrics and one person sang, "Neevu leni ma jeevanam." The other person immediately came up with the tune, "Neeru leni chepavedanam." So when the tune came itself, they realized that, okay, boss, there is something beyond us happening. It's not we who's composing the song. And then they came till "Meeku Maaku Oke Bandhamu." And the next line was not falling in the meter. So there was no time left. So the senior brother said, "Let it be unplugged," as in we are singing without the beat. And when they practiced with 600 students, without their knowledge, it came as a beautiful unplugged beatless line. "Adi prema bandham." And then Swami was moved. Swami burst into tears. And almost for 6 months, Swami was not talking. He immediately asked for the mics to be brought. And then he said, "I know what all students went through, but then, and the rest of it was history." So the effort that, I mean, most of the time that we had learned in the hostel was, okay, if Swami is apparently upset, if there is any way to please Swami, it is go as a group, do something as a group sadhana. Let's come together and then try to offer something or try to uh, put it together. It's like, if two or three of us get a punishment to tell no longer you're allowed into the class, go and meet the principal. If one or two of us go to the principal, it's not going to happen. Imagine if the whole class goes and keeps begging, saying, "Sir, sir, sir, please, sir, please, sir." Immediately the principal has no choice. But if not immediately, at least in a couple of days, they know that they are going to listen to us and then allow us and forgive us. Like that, all of our the activities, whether it is bhajan singing or seva, everything, Swami has made it so easy to connect to him. And that also heart to heart. If you ask any devotee, imagine if you have started this in 2020, this talk series, until now, you would have heard a lot of speakers, and then every speaker would have had a different experience. And whether it was before Swami's Samadhi or after Swami's Samadhi or in Swami's physical presence or without Swami's physical presence, everybody has some story or the other to tell about how he felt or she felt the love of Bhagwan. And that is the best part of our Swami, right? Saying when he makes us feel special, he'll make us feel as though he has come on this avatar only for us. That is the love of our Bhagwan. I'm not sure. I mean, see, we have not been when Krishna was there or Rama was there. Their love probably is really divine. But to individually be able to experience that, maybe we've not even had a first-hand people to tell us those stories. But with Swami, we have had the greatest fortune to be that, to meet the people who have been close, to see how he has lived his life, the kind of simplistic life that Swami has lived, the kind of the approach. Like they also say that Swami is a man of perfection. He needs the work to be done in a very very meticulous manner. At the same time, he wanted it to be done with a lot of love. Like Swami says that duty with love is duty without love is deplorable, duty with love is desirable, and love without duty is divine. So if we are able to just think of whatever we do as an offering, that the Vidura's example comes, right, where when Vidura was trying to when meeting Krishna during that process where he comes to ask for those 5 villages, Rayabharam. So in the love that he has for Krishna, instead of giving the banana, he peels the banana, and instead of handing over the banana, he gives the peels. And then Krishna eats it. And then he says, you offered this with love, so that is enough. Even if it was peel, if it was anything else, it doesn't matter to me. So like that, whatever we do, whether we just give him the least accordingly, means we cannot have a metric obviously, but whatever we can offer to him, if we can do it with love, obviously he's there just to receive that from all of us. And uh, yes, these are some things which I thought I would narrate to all of you. I had not, I just prepared a few things, and I kept a paper in front of me, but somehow Swami made it different, in a sense. Whatever I had planned, many different things which I had not written actually came up through this. So recently in that Satsangh, we had gone to the Mahila Youth Conference. So there was this experience somebody was sharing about a mother in Bangladesh, a devotee, and there used to be a program in the radio Sai then for kids. So she was a becoming mother, and then she used to listen to that kids program because she had heard read in Swami's discourses that when women are pregnant, the kid is listening to everything that is happening. So she wanted the kid to imbibe all the values, and that program, that 1 hour, was just meant for children. And then one particular day, she gets pain, and it seems she admitted in the hospital. Now, this is an email that she had written to the Sathya Sai Media Center, and that brother was narrating to us. So in the email, she writes that when she was admitted to the hospital during the pain, the next day was supposed to be the delivery. But then when the delivery happened, the baby was still born. And the mother, the father, everybody was very, very unhappy. And after seeing the kid who was lying next to her, not breathing, she actually remembered that the night she had a dream. She was lying in the same hospital, in the same bed, but Swami had come, and then the kid was alive actually. Swami played with the kid in the dream, and then Swami told her, name this baby Sai Shruti. He did that, and it seems at the end of the dream, he asked, do you listen to Radio Sai? And then she was like, yes, Swami. No, there is a program that 2 of my boys do. So Swami was referring to a program which brother Prem Anush and brother Arvind Balasubramanian used to do then. And then Swami referred to them as Peddodu Chinnodu. Prem Anush brother is elder brother. Arvind Balasubramanian brother was younger brother. So he said there are two Peddodu Chinnodu, the younger one. So Swami just described about that and then ended. So when during this time when she remembered that, she asked her husband, play Media Center, just open Radio Sai. He just he went like, are you gone nuts at this point? What do you want to see? I don't know, I just want to see if Swami's message is there. And then that's when these two, the program where these two brothers are comparing comes about, and they are talking about silence. And then she tries to see, okay, whatever they are talking, is it going to be relevant to me at this point of time after having the loss? And while that happens, the baby wakes up. So, and then she writes all this saying that my baby woke up during this. And then what was the thing was, the two brothers had no idea about this experience, and indirectly or indirectly they didn't play a role. But for them, the message was that Swami has observed that we are doing this program, and he has addressed as my boys, na pillalu. That was enough for them. And then this lady had that beautiful experience where Swami kind of indicated to her that yes, you are listening to that, listening to this program also. So like Swami does, one ball and then two fruits sort of a thing. And then Swami gave multiple indications to everybody that yes, I am there. So that thing about Swami trying to own us and say, my boys, my student, or she is my girl, she's doing this. That acknowledgement from Swami is what many of us want, right? Obviously, nothing more that we want. And again, when he says that wanting, yearning to hold that hand is important. So I think, according to me, the day till the day where when he's able to acknowledge that he is mine, that is enough for us. Till the day we can keep yearning, and whatever we want we can keep doing, so that someday he says, he's mine or she is mine, they're doing my work. It's not that we are looking for, means we are actually looking for recognition, no, but with him, with Swami, it's okay to look for recognition. In fact, sometimes the smallest things that we do which nobody knows. Recently, I'm not sure if Brother Ashwin would have shared that experience, but it was very, very nice to recall that there was a Sevadal in Chennai, and then he had done Seva in. He used to do Seva in Sundaram, and when he got to know that Swami is coming to Sundaram, and he puts his hand into the commode and then cleans the commode where Swami is going to be using the restroom. And then he does it when nobody is there and he goes back. And then after that, Swami sends word to him. Nobody knows this. And then when he comes, Swami apparently was in tears, asking, "Why did you do this, Bangaru?" He said, "Swami, when you are coming, I didn't do it as it's a great thing that I'm doing. I just did it as an offering, Swami." And then Swami took his hands and pressed his hands, saying, "Thank you very much, Bangaru. I cannot forget the seva that you have done for me." So like this, Swami, sometime or the other for sure will acknowledge, and it is only he who needs to acknowledge this. Nobody else probably needs to acknowledge it. And sometimes if we do not get the due so the so-called due rights for what we have done, it means that there is a better plan. My father grew up in Dharmavaram, and my grandfather happened to be the district president of Sathya Sai Seva organizations in the Anantapur district. And initially, when there was no railway station, my grandfather was a parcel officer in the railways. So any parcel that used to come to Swami to Parthi, they had to get it from Dharmavaram. So during Swami's 60th birthday, my father was extensively involved in carrying those and getting to Parthi on a daily basis. They had done this. And Swami was so happy that he said, "Call all the Sevadals who were involved in this, and I am going to bless them." So he called all of them to Bhajan Hall, and they had taken all their names. And somehow my father's name got missed out in that for reasons well known only to Swami. Apparently, we can say that, yeah, somebody favored someone, somebody didn't favor someone. All those reasons we can attach and feel bad. And my father felt extremely hurt because of that. And he just, after that, Swami came out and gave Pad Namaskar to all the devotees. But these people got special safari and special Pad Namaskar. And then my father was very guilty that he missed out on it. And that evening, he was just going back, and then he was going to attend an interview for his company. And that was Ashok Leyland. So he went for the interview. And then in the interview, when the person is going through the files, it so happened that the interview file, the profile CV file that he had with all the certificates, my uncle happened to give it to my father because he didn't have time to arrange. And in that, the last three certificates happened to be the Sevadal training certificates. So the interviewer who was doing it, the first thing, he opened the whole thing and he saw the Sevadal certificate and he asked, "What is this?" And then my father happened to say that this is Sathya Sai Seva organization and everything. So that person said, "So you must be a devotee, then you should be having a Swami's photograph." So he said, he showed Swami's photo. "You should be having vibhuti. Why is it not there on your forehead?" He said, "Sir, I came in the morning with vibhuti, but in the evening it's not there." So for the next 10 minutes, the discussion was about Swami. And then he said, "Okay, now I know your this part of your life. So now let us go to the professional part. And then he happened to ask him a few questions. And that day, my father gave an interview, and then he joined Ashok Leyland. And then for next 40 years, he was a part of that prestigious company. And then he retired as the head of supply chain and logistics. So my father, even today, he says that when Swami doesn't give us something, apparently it happens that we are not getting recognition. You may feel that, okay, I lost on something, but there is something very big which is coming our way, which we don't know. And then that one safari he did not get, but then our whole family, our life was taken care of that, because our Swami ensured that my father had a good job for his living. And then, so that's how sometimes we don't know how we can be grateful to Swami. So coming back to the letters, that letter writing and everything, one of the brother also had this feeling as to why so many letters Swami is collecting. Is he even going to read all these things? He's just going to throw them, right? So they were having a satsang with their batchmates, and in that it was decided that actually Swami is simply collecting and he's not reading. That particular day, along with other devotees, this senior brother was also called. And then Swami looked at him and asked, why do you think Swami is collecting so many letters? I don't know things, right? I don't have time to read so much, right? Things like that. And it also happened that Swami was, just before this conversation, Swami was looking at a letter, keeping it, looking, keeping. So it's humanly not possible to read the whole thing just by looking at it. And after this, Swami is asking him, and Swami tells him, take a random letter from that bunch which is there, and then go that side and read. So he goes into the inner interview room, reads, and comes out. And then Swami tells word to word what is there in that letter. And he's startled. And so then he takes the courage to ask, Swami, then why do you insist on them writing letters, Swami? Why do you take those many letters when you know what they have already written? When you know everything, why should they even write? And then Swami says, have you written a letter to me? I said, yes, Swami. What do you feel when you write a letter? I said, somehow when I write a letter to you, Swami, I feel that I'm talking to you, and I feel very satisfied that it's being conveyed to you. Swami said, precisely for acknowledging the same thing, I take your letters. The moment you think of it, it's already known to me. I don't need to actually take. But when I take it, I'm just acknowledging the feeling that you have spoken to me, and I have heard you. That's the only reason I'm taking it. Otherwise, I don't need to take it. So like that, Swami is there to listen to us at every moment. And all that we need to do is to just offer ourselves to him. And then whatever best we can, in whichever way possible, just offer it to him. And he's just there waiting to bless us, waiting to, make us even closer to him. We just need to take that one step. And there's a long way for each one of us in our journey, whichever it is. And each is an individual journey. It is a heart-to-heart connection with him. But when we come as a group, with all of us having that one intention that we need to please Swami, or we are doing it for the love of Swami, the work has even more, multiple benefits. So thank you very much for the wonderful opportunity that I've been given today. I'm not sure I had thought of many things, as I was telling you before, but so many things went very, very differently compared to what I had prepared. So I thank you all.
Loving Sai Rams. All I can say is every week what we get to hear is what we seek reaffirmation from the Lord. A lot of things this week that has transpired, many things that probably affected me personally. I have got the answers in today's satsang, or rather a reiteration of that. Many an experience that you narrated, brother, we have had the same experience recollected either by the actual experiencer, the seniors that you spoke about, and there are certain experiences that, regardless of the number of times you hear, every time you hear, there is that There is that beauty to it that reaffirms the love of the Lord. So I think I just want to, I was thinking of why this satsang happens, and sometimes I also wonder when the number of actual people listening in is not as many as I would want it at times. But who am I to want? Because the purpose of this is to reach who it has to reach, and it reaches in its own way. Some of us have the selfish pleasure of watching the first show, the first, the uncut version, or whatever you want to call it. And then you have those who get to see it in the offline version subsequently. And there are so many of them who get inspired, who get motivated, who get that reassurance. I just want to finish off summarizing what you said. And I was reminded of Anup Jalota's rendition in a ISKCON album, Itna to karna Swami, जब प्राण तन से निकले, साई नाम लेके तब प्राण तन से निकले. And then the last line, इस साई वक्त की है अर्जी, खुद गर्ज की है गर्जी, आगे साई तुम्हारी मर्जी, जब प्राण तन से निकले. So all I can think is the grace that this Lord has given us to continue to sing His name. I mean, every day. And the energy that we get when we sing that name, and the reaffirmation that it gets when we sing that name, is that universal medicine for any ailment. And these satsangs, where all of us join together, energize ourselves, is an energization process for the speaker and us, the recipients. So I would like to request you to finish off with your favorite bhajan. We'll end with that. And all I want to say, please come every week. Those of you who get this invitation, to be part of it, to energize ourselves collectively, because it is His grace that we are here, and nothing happens without His grace. Sai Ram, brother, finish off with the bhajan.
शांत ब्रह्ममय दिव्य स्वरूपा युग अवतारा परम दया दीन जनावन करुणा साई दीन जनावन करुणा साई अंतरंग साई अनाथ नाथ साई अंतरंग साई अनाथ नाथ साई दीन बंधु साई करुण सिंधु साई दीन बंधु साई करुण सिंधु साई अंतरंग साई अनाथ नाथ साई राम कृष्ण शिव शक्ति प्रेम रूप साई राम कृष्ण शिव शक्ति प्रेम रूप साई युगावतार बाबा श्री सत्य साई युगावतार बाबा श्री सत्य साई, संकट हरणा श्री साई रमणा, संकट हरणा श्री साई रमणा, पंकज चरणा नमो नमो, पंकज चरणा नमो नमो, वेदो धरणा वेंकटरमणा, वेदो धरणा वेंकटरमणा, लक्ष्मी नारायण नमो नमो, साई नारायण नमो नमो, नमो 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 नमो, पंकज चरणा नमो नमो, पंकज चरणा नमो नमो, संकट हरणा श्री साई रमणा. Thank you once again, brother.
Sai Ram, thank you so much. Absolute bliss to end this way. Wishing you the very best on your onward journey and praying to Swami that he is with you in every moment as you explore to expand your horizon in your academic world. But then the spiritual journey continues till that last very moment. Jabu prana tan se nikale. Absolute bliss, brother. Absolute bliss. We shall finish off with Samasta Loka. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Jai Bolo Bhagwan Shri Satya Sai Baba Ji ki Jai. Sai Ram, looking forward to seeing all of you next Sunday. This time, I think we know who the speaker is, but anything can happen. You will get to know when Swami decides. And looking forward to seeing you same time, Sunday, next week. And Brother Ananth, Sai Ram to you, and Godspeed, Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, Sai Ram. Thank you.